Hello and welcome to my latest video. No Privs, no internet, no problem. And really the inspiration behind this video is we do many demonstrations to customers, and usually at the end of the demonstration one of the people in the meeting on the customer side will kind of pop up and say, oh, what happens if we're offline? And they're sort of expecting to hear that, oh, it doesn't work offline because obviously we're a SaaS platform, but actually the product works very well offline and it's been designed to work offline. So I just thought, how many other people that might be browsing our website may also assume that there are, the product requires internet to work. So I thought I would address that misunderstanding and misassumption and do this video really to give you the full sort of download on exactly what happens with our product when you're offline. So I have got a number of different screens to play with here, so forgive me if I press the wrong button, but anyway, this is where I'd like to start with my presentation. So we're going to basically there's the title, and we're going to go straight in to the first sort of scenario, which is actually to do with whether or not you've configured MFA for your endpoint. So we have three different types of let's call it UAC authentication with the product. We've got the confirm mode, which is the yes no. We've got the UAC native mode with the standard kind of username and password, and then we sort of have the best of both worlds, which is the MFA. Now the MFA requires you to be online to work, and if you're offline then you will need to get a PIN code. So for the first scenario, we've got MFA configured, but we have not got approval configured. So this would be if you're not using approval, or also if you're using a pre-approved application and you have the MFA required thing turned on. So the computer that I'm going to use for this, it can't be a VM, because obviously if I'm remoting to a VM using our secure remote solution and I turn off the networking, obviously I'm going to get disconnected and kicked off. So I've got a separate kind of physical computer to use for this, and it happens to be running Windows ARM. So this is that computer, and then my portal configuration and audit log is over here. So we're going to be using various screens here. So, and then I think also I've got one to show you the MFA. So let's start off then. I am connected to the internet. You can see down here we got a good connection. Admin By Request is here, and I can just show you that is all working nicely. I'll just go to here, and then we're going to start off with to show you what it looks like when you're online. So this is kind of like a normal situation when you're trying to do something with Admin By Request and you're online and you get the MFA. And I'm a non-privileged user, so this is kind of classic Admin By Request functionality. So I'm going to click on the installer. I'm going to then go to the my other view here, which I think is the MFA view, so that my phone should prompt with a number. So I'm going to enter that. Oops, not that one. That number here. So I think that's right, and I've got to look at the phone as well. Smile. There we go. So that should then start the application, and all is well. So you can see here that's all good. And if I go to the portal, I can view the audit log, and that VLC will be shown as running. There it is. And if I go back now to here and hit cancel, close like that, and then back over to here and hit refresh, you should see this running will change to finished. And you can see, make a note of that time as well, 2:09, which is the time right now. Okay, so that is when you're online. Now is the time to disconnect, and I thought I would do this sort of a bit more with a bit more interest. So we actually have a camera on the cable, so you can see me actually pulling the network cable out, so that way you know that I'm actually disconnecting the computer. So let's go here. I'm going to pull the cable out, and then the bottom right hand side you're going to see the network getting disconnected. There we go. So I'm now offline, and I'm now going to attempt to do the same sort of elevation with this computer, and I'm going to switch back to this mode to give us a bit more screen space, and I'm going to hit running. Now the first thing that happens is I get this smart screen error. So that's not an admin by request error, that's a Defender configuration screen. It can't talk to the internet, doesn't know if this file is safe, so it's going to pop up a warning like that. So I'm just going to hit run. So the next part is admin by request figuring out that it's offline, its MFA is required. So now it needs to detect that we're offline, and I'm going to be prompted for a PIN code in order for me to get through that whole what would have been before the MFA experience. So here we have an error. You need to be online to perform this operation. You're not online. PIN code. Okay, so here we go. So this is what you'd need to do if you'd been configured with MFA and you happen to be offline. So I'm going to click the PIN code, and I'm going to make sure that I go to the right computer, because I'm not using my usual computer, I'm using my ARM system, so it's this one here. So in order to get this PIN code, you would need to get hold of someone that has access to this portal, so that would be this portal here, and I'm on the ARM system, so that would be if I go to the inventory and just show you how I got here. So I could go click on here, or I could go straight to PIN and get to the PIN part right here. So someone with access to the portal to do this, or someone that has access to the mobile app, which is of course included. Some customers are actually using our API, the PIN code API, to do other clever PIN issuing stuff like that. So whatever mode or method you're using to do those PIN codes, you would need to get PIN 1 from the operator of the computer. So PIN 1 would be 428333, so that would be 428333, 428333, perfect. So I would then generate PIN 2, and it's 217417, so back over to here, and that would be 217417. Just check that's right, 217417, that's good. And I'm going to hit OK now, and then now I would be allowed to install do the VLC thing that I couldn't do because I had MFA configured and I was offline. Okay, right then, so I can go ahead and do that, and that would be logged locally on the endpoint, and then when I come back online you should see the logs sync. So if I go over to here and we go to the audit log, you will see that the last VLC log was at 209, and it's now nearly quarter past. So I'm going to re-plug in. So let's go back to the, is it this one here? No, not that one, this one. And I'm going to plug us back in again. Before I do that, I'm going to actually just close the installer, so it's finished. Okay, so I'm still offline, I've elevated something, I've done what I need to do, and I'm now going to reconnect, sorry. So let's plug back in. So here we go, click, and you'll see internet will come back online. There we go. And just to double check, we've got connectivity. I'm going to go to connectivity here. You can see that all looks good. Excellent. And then I'm going to switch back over here. This can take a few minutes, but you should see a new entry that is later than 209 appear in here. And this wasn't here before because we were offline. So we should have had get a new entry in, and there we have it. We have our new log. So this was the thing that was done offline that is now being resynced when this computer has now come online. Okay, so that is the first kind of offline scenario. You've got MFA configured, and of course because MFA is configured you need to be online for that. If you're offline, this is what happens. Right then, let us move on to the next part of this video. Non-urgent offline requests. So for this I'm going to have to enable approval. Okay, so you've seen, if you didn't have, by the way, MFA configured and you didn't have approval configured, Admin By Request would work just as it does normally, because there's no need, because approval isn't on, there's no need for the endpoint to go out and do anything, contact the portal. So the requirement for a PIN code just now without approval was only because we configured the MFA. If I'd configured confirm mode or UAC mode, we wouldn't need a PIN code, we can go straight in. Likewise, if I'd configured a pre-approved application, we'll do that in a bit, you wouldn't need approval either. So then again, that works as well too. When you do have approval enabled, obviously you've configured approval because you want the user to have to get permission to do something with admin from someone. And it's no good just saying, oh, when you're offline you can just do it, because then, you know, users are smart. If they want to do something, they'll just disconnect, just like I've done there, and then they could do it. And that would be a massive sort of way to kind of bypass the system. So when we have approval enabled and a user is offline, you will get an offline notice, and the user will need to obtain a PIN code in the same way if we'd just done the PIN code there. They'd have to get a PIN code from a portal admin with the mobile app, with one of the integrations, and they could then go ahead and do what they need to do. So there are two ways. There's an offline, a non-urgent way and an urgent way. So let me just show you first the non-urgent way, but before we do that, we need to enable approval. So let's switch back over here, and we are going to go into our subsetting, go into the active subsetting, and we're going to go here and we're going to turn on approval. There we go. Okay, so approval is now on. Let's go back to the endpoint, and let's just make sure everything is synced. And if I try to, again, I'm online now, so by clicking on this, it would actually take me through to the MFA prompting screen. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to disconnect first. So that would be this one, and the good old disconnect. Here we go. Disconnect. Out goes the cable. Okay, so we've now disconnected, and so it'll be a bit different this time. So let me just go back to here, and I'm going to now elevate the VLC, and you'll see we get a slightly different screen. So so again, the smart screen appears, and then we'll get so last time we got an error, this time we'll get an offline notice page will come up, and that will enable us to have the two options, the non-urgent option, or the urgent option where I would have to get a PIN code. So here we go. And if it's a bit slow, what I've done is I've got all this set up with a kind of 5G router, because I wanted all this to be completely separate from my test setup. So that's why we got a bit of a delay, because it's not a fantastic connection. And I've got the door shut because I don't want noises coming in from outside. So anyway, let's go with the non-urgent one first. So with the non-urgent mode, what happens is that I'm just going to send a reason in like I would normally do. And then when my computer comes back online, the request is synced, and then that request would then be granted or denied as normal. Obviously, if I'm offline and I need this thing now, then this isn't the right kind of method. But if I just need to get something done and I'm offline, I can just forget about it and I don't need it to do right now, then I could just do this form, and then at some point when I'm back online, I'll get the approval or the deny come in. So let's go ahead and just type in the reason. I am offline but not in a hurry. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to send that one through. So I'm not using the PIN code. I'm just going to essentially queue this request. And it says here, my request has been, well, it hasn't actually been sent yet, has it? But it's been sent, sort of queued, is I guess what it should say. So I'm going to hit OK, and then that is basically that. So I would carry on doing what I'm doing. And then at some point in the future, let's go on the camera, the reconnect camera. I'm going to reconnect myself. So here we go. Like so. So you should be able to see internet will return. There we are. And if I then switch over to this screen and go to requests, so I probably just need to give the endpoint a bit of a poke just to make sure that it understands that it's back online. I go to requests. Now this can take a little while to populate, so because that request has got to leave the endpoint, it's then got to arrive in the portal, and then it's got to appear as a request and such. So we just need to give it a little time to appear. So there we go. Perfect. That's very nice. So this is the request. You can see I'm offline but not in a hurry, so I should then be able to approve the request like so. Boom. And then back on the endpoint I get my approval comes in, and I could hit yes, and then we go back through the MFA prompting, which I think is this one. And so we're back in the workflow that we saw before. 71, yes, that's good. Oops, face, that's good, perfect. And we can elevate again. So hopefully you can see that that is a way to do it if you're not in a hurry, okay? What if you're in a hurry? What if you're down a hole, up a tower, and you need admin right now? So you're offline, but you can't really afford to wait to come back online. Maybe you're not going to be back online for a long time. So this is the other method to do it. So we've already got approval turned on. We're going to just repeat what happened before, but this time we're going to ask for the pin code. And I think you probably know how this is going to work, but let's just do it anyway. So back over on the endpoint. Here we go. Again, we're going to elevate the VLC, and we're going to get that form is going to come up. Actually, I haven't got offline, so I need to take myself offline. That was a bit of a boo from me. Sorry about that. So I'm going to go back to this camera here. Is it this one? And we need to disconnect. I forgot to do that. So let me just do that right now. Here we go. Disconnecting. Done. No internet. Perfect. Back on the endpoint then. So here we go. Let us go ahead and do the VLC. So we're going to get this again. Smart screen now is going to pop up because we're offline, and then we're going to get the same form that we had before, but we are in a hurry. This is urgent, so I'm going to need to contact someone in the NOC or someone that's got access to the portal, the mobile app, and get that pin code so I can actually elevate the thing. I need to elevate pretty quickly. So not filling out the reason, I'm just going to click I wish to use a pin code like so. Okay, so I've got my pin 1. So this is the same procedure as we did earlier. I'm going to go into the portal. I'm calling someone that's got access to pin codes. Go to inventory. Again, make sure I'm doing the right computer, which is the ARM one. Go into here, and I'm going to type in my pin 1, which would be 207.207.419. So you can see 207.419. And I'm going to generate pin 2. Perfect. Go back onto here again, and I know that code is 971-861. Hit OK, and hopefully here we go. So I'm now able to elevate the VLC even though I'm offline. I'm down a hole, I'm up a tower, and I'm happy because I can do what I need to do. Okay, so just like as before, let's just switch back over to here, and we can see that the last audit log is 2151. So back over here, let's just stop that, and of course I'm going to reconnect. There we go, and we should see the internet icon come back. Perfect. And back over here, let's just do a little, give it a little poke again, just to make sure that it's all good and online. And then, so 2151, if I hit refresh, you should see the latest, there we go, 2439. And actually what I'm going to do before we go on any further, I'll just show you that all this stuff we're doing with pin codes is all logged. So you can see that you get a full history of who is issuing pin codes, when they were issued, and for what application. So that is actually really, really good. So you've got an audit trail of not only the stuff that's being elevated by the user, but also who's issuing these pin codes and what for. So that is kind of nice as well. Right then, so we've done the downer hole, upper tower. What is next? Unblocking. Actually, there isn't really any change with regards to how unblocking or blocking applications works, whether or not you're on or offline. Because if you block an application, you're going to be either you can configure to not have a pin code show at all, but if you have configured a pin code to appear, then whether or not you're off or online, the block will still appear. So I have blocked, let's just show you how I've done this. So I think I'm using a subsetting, which is a separate subsetting for blocking, which is this one here, app control. And blocking, I've got Oracle is blocked, okay? So if I was to go to my ARM system, and here's a Java, right? So this would be blocked. I'm online at the moment. I'm going to get a blocking message. And I even put a custom note in there saying no Oracle allowed, call the help desk. Notice I have the pin there. So I could put in a pin like so. That's how it works online. And then you'll notice that if I go to this view again and disconnect like so, and we're offline, I think we are good. And if I go ahead now and try and run that Oracle software again, I get the smart screen. That's what's different. But then after that, I get the pretty much the same error message. But let's go ahead and do the pin code again. I'm going to hit pin code. Again, I need to go get the pin from the inventory. So I think it's this one here. Here are the pin codes. And my pin 1 is 493493491. I think you can see that, 493491. Generate the pin. I got my pin there, so that would be type in my pin 2 46. Oops, wrong keyboard. 672 461, like so, and that allows me to run that Java installer even though I blocked it. But obviously when you block something, if you have pin code functionality enabled, you have that ability, whether or not you're online or offline, to unblock it with a pin code. And just as we've seen before, so I'm just going to cancel that like so. And that, by the way, pin codes only work once. So it's not like you give someone a pin and they can use it forever. This is a one-time pin, OTP. Let's go back to the portal again, and you should see, actually no, I don't want to go there. I want to go into the system event to show you that this was attempted to be elevated by me, and it was being issued. And those logs, again, would be synced when the computer comes back online. So this was the first one I did. If I go back and reconnect, right, so got my internet back again, good. And there we go, just give it a little bit of a nudge online. So you should see, what time is it now, 29? You should see well, it may take a while to turn up, but anyway, you will get eventually those additional blocking events appear in the audit log. Fantastic, very good. And actually also you should probably see the install, there we go. So we've got that, it's been synced as well. Very good. Perfect. Right then, let us go back to here, and the next part would be pre-approving for offline use. Okay, so this is the thing. So you've got approval enabled. When you're online, it's fantastic. So the requests go off for approval. That's fine. We've seen how that works. When you're offline, you need to get a PIN code. Again, we've seen how that works. But what if you want your users to be able to do stuff offline without PIN codes for certain applications, vendors, and not other things? So that's where pre-approval comes in. So I've already set one of these up before. So again, back to the portal, and we're going to go and have a look in the, I've got a subsetting which I've set up for pre-approvals specifically, which is this one here. You'll see that I have pre-approved Wireshark on the system. Okay, so again, just to double check, I'm online at the moment, and I'm going to again do the VLC, and it should pop up with that MFA prompt. Oh no, it doesn't. Sorry, because it's doing the approval. So it does the approval part because I got approval enabled. If I didn't have approval enabled, I'd then get the MFA. Okay, so you definitely see that approval is enabled. If I try to run Wireshark now, you will see, where's it gone? I think it was downloaded previously here. So if I try to run that installer, even though I've got approval enabled, it doesn't require me to go through that approval workflow because I've got Wireshark set up here as a pre-approved application. So it's pre-approved. Think of it as a whitelist. I don't need to go through that approval process. Okay, so I'm going to just hit no here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and disconnect. Okay, so disconnecting, last time for this, disconnecting, so no internet is gone. Back on this screen, and again, so I'm going to, so if I was to go for the VLC, I would get the smart screen and I would get the offline notice to say that, you know, you've got to put in your PIN code or send a request offline and wait for the request to be processed when you come back online. So let's just wait for this to appear. We should be hopefully shortly, as long as my 5G connection is holding out. Here we go. So that is what we expect. But for Wireshark, I can happily, still get the smart screen error, but I can carry on and go ahead with running that as admin because it's been pre-approved. So I can pre-approve vendors, I can pre-approve locations. So if I had let's say you had some files that you sent down to a local directory that was sort of a protected read-only directory that users could run stuff from, and so you could do that as well. But a file location, a hash, a vendor certificate, all those things can be set as pre-approvals, and anything that is set as a pre-approval can be run as admin offline with the logs queued locally and then synced when you come back online. So again, let's cancel that. Let's go back to the network reconnection. Let's get that connected up. There we go. Let's again just go and give it another little update to make sure we got the connectivity all sorted. Perfect. And then we're nearly there, I think. Let's go back to the audit log, and you should see the Wireshark appearing here in a little bit as the system updates from being offline to online. And hopefully that won't take too long. And unless I didn't have logging enabled on the pre-approval, so maybe I should go and just double check to see if I did actually have logging enabled for that pre-approval. Oop, that's not the right subsetting, so it's this one here. But just my luck if I didn't enable logging for it. Oh, I did enable logging for it, so it should have logged. It might just be that it's taking it. Oh, there it is. Perfect. So it does take a little time to turn up. But again, that was done when I was offline. You come back online, Admin By Request detects that you're online, and then it will basically resync that within, say, 5 minutes. So I think that's fair enough, isn't it? So really, I think that's all. It's been a little bit of a Had a few little hiccups, but nothing too serious. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Again, the purpose was really to show you how Admin By Request works when you're in offline situation. So be that you're using MFA, you need to have things approved, not in a hurry or in a hurry when you're offline, and also the blocking and how pre-approval enables you to elevate things offline without having to go through that approval process. So that is all from now. As usual, as they say, like and subscribe, and I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Cheerio for now. Bye.